September has started, the weather's still hot. Well, how about the market? Stick around, we've got your September market update coming right up. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is your Central Maine realtor, Nick Isgro with eXp Realty, and today I've got all the numbers hot off the press. We're gonna go through all the relevant data and give you this market update so that you know exactly what's going on. We can make some predictions about what's to come so that you are the best educated buyer or seller in today's market. Now, before I get into that, I want to welcome you here to the channel. If you've never been here before, we cover all things real estate here in the state of Maine, particularly right here in the Central Maine market. Now, if that's of interest to you or adds value to your process in the buying and selling of homes, do me a favor, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, smash that alarm bell. You'll be notified every time we put out new content. As always, just a few notes on the front end of this thing before I dive into the numbers. Of course, we are in a little bit of a market shift. Some of that is seasonal, some of that is going to be affected by interest rates. How much either one of those, you will be the one to decide. But what I want you to pay attention to is the trends. I want you to look at the trends, see what's happened over the last year, see what might be seasonal, we can see what might be a little bit more extreme. Overall, you're not going to notice a lot of huge differences from last month, but you are going to see the trends going in a certain direction, and I think it's going to be good news, particularly welcome news for some of you out there watching this video. First number I want to bring up here as always is new listings, and we're going to break down the sales activity from there so we can get to an overall final inventory. So new listings are going to be the homes that came on the market during the month of August. What happened? 227 new listings. Now, when you look at this, you can see it's roughly the same as it was a year ago, 224 in the same time period. Last month, 218. So whether we're looking month over month or year over year, there's really no earth-shattering news here. It is basically more of the same in either scenario, month over month or year over year. Now, one of the things, as you know, that's been driving this market a lot has been the number of new listings or the lack of new listings coming to market. In this case, we can't really say that there's a lack. It's the same as it was a year ago. So from here, the sales activity will really determine what's going on when it comes to the overall inventory, which obviously has an effect on pricing and things like that. So let's jump right into that now. I want to drive into the number of pending listings because, as you will see as we move through, this is going to be the driver of inventory right now, as it has been really over the last few months. There's been a lot fewer sales going on. Is that trend continue? Let's bring it up right now. Pending listings, 101 homes under contract. So this is the number of homes that went into escrow during the month of August, 101. Whether we look month over month or year over year, that's actually a big drop. Now you can see when we had that market shift earlier in the year, we were seeing a lot fewer sales go through. The sales activity during the month, pending listings down. This is going to translate into fewer homes sold during this month, the month of September, those closed out transactions, which is what we'll get into next. So if we're adding the same number of homes that we saw really month over month, we'll take it from there, and a lot fewer of those homes than month over month went under contract, we would expect a rise in the inventory. So keep that in the back of your mind. From here, I want to jump right into the sold listings. These are homes that actually closed out, changed hands during the month. Could be pending listings from the month before, it could be a cash transaction that happened during the month. But either way, this is property actually changing hands during the month. Let's take a look and see what happened. 173 sold listings. So not too bad, actually, a little bit up, about 20 more homes sold during the month than we saw during the month of July. So that's good. That can help us edge back some of the lack of numbers that we saw in the pending listings, but it's certainly not earth-shattering. If we look at a year ago, we did about 188. So roughly the same amount of homes sold during the month. So just as a recap here, before we look at the overall active inventory, we want to look at, we had roughly the same number of homes coming to the market as we saw the month before. We saw homes sold up a little bit from the month before, but not by a ton. But we saw a big drop in the pending sales. So what is that going to do? It should, if the math works out, mean that we've had a rise of the overall inventory. This is going to be great news for buyers. Let's check it out. Let's bring it up right now. Total active inventory, 305 homes, over 50 more homes than we saw the month before in the market. This is great news for buyers. Now, there is a little caveat. I want you to look at this here. It was just a little bit over that a year ago. So really, the inventory is normalizing to where we were year over year. Important to get that perspective. Month over month, year over year. Month over month, this is great news. It means if you're a buyer just coming into the market, you've finished summer vacation, what does it mean? You have more options, more likelihood you're gonna find the home that you're looking for, and there might even be a little flexibility on price. We'll get to that a little bit later. But for now, just know that there's more homes in the market than there has been. However, if you're trying to say this is a huge shift year over year, you know, the nuances of how we got there might be a little bit different, but we are where we are, and that is almost the same place as we were a year ago, and that's why I say not really anything drastic happening here. All right, so we've niched down the numbers into the specific categories, but what does this mean for overall active inventory? And by inventory, I mean months of supply. So if you're new to the channel, months of supply is the number of homes that we have in the market. If we were to sell all of them today, just put all of them out for sale, have no new listings come to the market, how long would it take? A balanced market between buyers and sellers is 6 months of inventory. Over 6 months of inventory, we call that a buyer's market. Less than 6 months of inventory, we call it a seller's market. Where are we today? Let's bring it up. About 1.1 or just over 1 month of supply on the market. So this is month over month, as you can see, a bump in the numbers. It's year over year, roughly the same jump as we see month over month. So a driving up of inventory, not unseen in the last year, but when we saw this over a month of inventory, you know, during the last year, it was during that market shift, which started to occur about this same time. These numbers show it was a little bit later than that, but overall, we're having a bump of inventory. Now, 1.1 months, does that mean we're suddenly now in this big buyer's market? Of course it doesn't. We're still gonna see some pressure on prices. They're still seeing such a limited inventory that as buyers are coming into the market and looking around, they're still going to outstrip the supply that we have currently on the market. So there you have it on the inventory side. A little bit more inventory than we had a month ago. Not quite as much though overall as we had last year, but based on sales data, the supply is a little bit higher just looking at the rate of sales. So now we want to get into pricing. We'll start with days on market. We're going to look at the list to price ratio and then the median sale price here in Kennebec County. That's going to give us a thorough understanding if there's really something big going on in the market, or maybe it's just a little bit more of the same. Let's take a look here. Average days on market, about 24.5 days. So if you look at this, it's not huge. It actually was a shorter market period during the month than it was the month before. Not by a lot, and if we look, it's still more than it was a year ago at 17 days on the market, but nothing earth-shattering. So we're seeing this trend. What is the trend? More of the same. A tight market, some nuances happening here. Maybe if we don't see any shift from those pending sales start ticking up, that could continue to add to the overall inventory. Obviously, the interest rate market's gonna have a lot to do with that, but we're not seeing that yet. I'm not ready to commit to that direction. This looks a little bit more of the same. Now, everything I've seen here says pricing ought to be roughly the same. Let's take a look at what happened with pricing. So the sale to list price ratio, this is if you listed your home for a certain amount, how much of that amount did you actually get? Bringing it up here, check it out. Just like last month, 101% sale to list price ratio. So at the end of the day, or I should say after 24.5 days, homeowners that are selling their home are getting a little bit over what they're asking for. Now, somebody commented last month, and I want to thank you for bringing this up. One of the things we looked at last year was sale to original list price ratio. It was actually about 1% less, 100%, and that's for the last 2 months. That means there are some price reductions occurring in the market. So if the sale to original list price ratio is 100%, but the current list price is 101, that means somewhere in there that price ticked down a little bit. So not a lot, not extreme, not every house. These are averages, but they're all getting factored in. So we can see that once again, unlike a few months ago, we're hitting the fall market. There are some slight price reductions occurring in the market, which if you're a buyer, that could be great news. If you're a seller, it's not bad news. What it means is you need to get really diligent in the pricing of your home, because if you price it right, there's still going to be a competitive market, but don't shoot for the moon necessarily. Price it competitively where you think it should be, and that way you're going to show that value and attract those buyers in and still get that 100%, maybe even a little bit more. If you're over the top, it might not happen. The last thing we always like to look at is the sold median price. This gives us the overall trend of pricing here in Kennebec County, what's going on. Bring it up here, $285,000, down a little bit from last month, but as I always say, I think when it comes to this particular graph, Look over the last 13 months. Almost nothing has changed. There's been a little up, a little down. When you consider this is the median and we're not really sure where all the houses were in that mix, this is the median number, but it gives us a good sense of market direction. Market direction is sideways, exactly where we've been. So that's it. That's a quick summary of what's going on in the market as we head into September right now. As the month starts to get cooler, is the market going to get cooler? We really don't know. I don't think so. I actually expect to see a little bit of an uptick in sales activity. You know, a couple of reasons why. At the end of August, everybody's going on vacation. There's always a little bit of a dip in the activity there because people want to finish out their summer. They're getting the kids settled back in school. Part of this too, though, is the interest rate environment. As people are hearing rates might be going up and as rates actually do shift up, just like last year, I'm going to expect people to say, you know what, let's back off a little bit. But like last year, what happened once that rate sits for a little bit, new buyers are always coming into the market, and people who maybe sat on the sidelines but see some good sales opportunities will also step back into the market. So, you know, October tends to be a good value month to list your home here in the state of Maine, November as well. Outside of that, there could be some seasonal imbalance. I don't have a crystal ball, by the way. I'm really just talking trends here, but I expect to see a little bit more like we saw over the last year. This is going to be a sideways market as long as I can see these inventory numbers staying the same. At the end of the day, supply and demand will always rule the day, and right now it's the supply side. Supply side is ruling it. There's not a lot of supply. If those pending sales keep going down, it's going to translate into fewer sold listings. And if people keep listing their houses at the same rate, we're going to see a rise of inventory. That is what is going to have the most impact on pricing in the current market. So what do you guys think? I always like to get your thoughts and comments. Please go ahead if you're in the market now, or maybe you're not and you just have a prediction, drop it below. I want to see your predictions. Tell me what you think. Where do you think we're going as we head into the late fall and winter months? Is it going to change? Maybe, maybe not. Tell me. Of course, if you're in the market or maybe you're getting in the market and you want somebody to help guide you through this process and you're not sure where to begin, look up my information. All my contact information is linked in the post below. Please reach out. I would love to chat with you about what your situation is, get you rolling in the right direction, or maybe even just jam out on some ideas if that's what you're looking for. Of course, as always, I thank each and every one of you for sticking around to the end of this video, and until the next one, I'll see you next time.